Does Sofyan Amrabat to Manchester United make sense? Today we're going to answer that question with his profile as a footballer, some statistics, and where he would fit in playing in Manchester United's midfield, and answer the question, do United need another body in that area? Of course, I'm Statman Dave, subscribe if you're new, but anyway, it's time to dive in. So Sofyan Amrabat is very much a holding midfielder, a player capable of playing a more advanced 8 role that can move into a kind of more attacking role, but still operate as a deep line playmaker, or from that position, dropping in as a halfback, splitting the defenders, creating a 3 base at the back and playing forward. So Sofyan Amrabat has played under Erik Ten Hag previously at FC Utrecht. So let's take a look tactically how he fit in. At FC Utrecht, Erik Ten Hag fielded a midfield diamond. Amrabat's position in this midfield was as a right-sided central midfielder. What he'd do from this position, he'd drop off the line and get on the ball, joining the defensive midfielder in a double pivot. We saw the other midfielder operating more as a Mazzala, getting into the final third. The width, of course, was brought on by either forwards drifting wide or the fullbacks getting into the final third. One of the things that I really like about Erik Ten Hag is when he's previously worked with players, he knows what he can get out of them. You can see Sebastian Haller actually played for his FC Utrecht side, again coming to Ajax, scoring a load of goals and turning himself back into one of the best target men in the world. Amrabat, in terms of his positional play, would drop into the deep areas, get on the ball in those deep zones, and then either look into the midfielders ahead of him with progressive passes into the feet of the forwards, slip in a fullback, or of course switch to play. Amrabat loves a switch of play. But let's take a look at a few clips of Amrabat in this diamond in Holland for Erik Ten Hag. So I picked up a clip from the FC 20 versus Utrecht game when Ten Hag was manager in the Dutch Cup. So you can see Amrabat top of shot in that kind of right central midfield position. As I mentioned before, the left-sided central midfielder very much operating as a Mazzala in the final third. Interesting for Manchester United, if Ten Hag were to field the diamond at United, it'd operate in a very similar way, where he'd have 2 midfielders that would be in the build-up, and he'd have 2 midfielders that are operating in between the lines, the width, of course, coming from fullback. I'd really want to see that with Rashford and Højlund up front. So in terms of Amrabat as a player, of course, he's good at finding little pockets of space, dropping off from that number 8 area to get into a number 6 position, receiving the ball with space around him. Really good first touch. One of the things that Amrabat is renowned for is his ability to bring the ball under, slow it down, play at his own tempo in a sense. But we can see now the options that he has ahead of him. Could drop it into the attacking midfielder, could hit the Mazzala, could hit one of the forwards. What I like about Amrabat is he makes really good decisions. He's not afraid to just keep the possession moving, playing the short, simple pass and then receiving again, then moving the ball on. In this instance, of course, he looks for the player in between the lines, hits him to feet. A brilliant situation, getting Utrecht into the final third in between those lines with bodies. Manchester United need to do this more, and for me, this is why Amrabat is a really, really good signing, and it does make sense for United. They need a player that is really competent in possession, at breaking lines, at playing through, but also has tenacity, which Amrabat showed for Utrecht, being an aggressive outside central midfielder, shuttling out to either the opposition's fullback to close or squeezing in the middle. Had really good tenacity playing for Erik Ten Hag in the Eredivisie. So let's take a look at his stats at FC Utrecht. We've got a game against Nijmegen in the Eredivisie. We can see him operating as that right-sided central midfielder in the diamond. Statistically, 1 assist, 4 chances created, completed 6 out of his 9 long passes, 1 big chance created, 4 shots, 4 out of his 5 dribbles completed, and 3 out of his 5 tackles won, and 3 interceptions. Showing that real completeness of a player already at a really young age. Of course, he came through the Utrecht Academy under Erik Ten Hag, but really evolved, under the great tactician in terms of his positional play and how he saw the game. As we can see, Amrabat from that right-sided central midfield position is closer to the number 6 than the number 8. We can see here clearly the fullback's really high, the Mazzala, the number 6, getting into the number 10 area and having 2 centre forwards. Again, something that Manchester United could really bring to their tactical side of their game. Playing a diamond in certain matches I think would work really, really well, especially when signing someone like Amrabat that's very comfortable at playing as a right-sided central midfielder, as a deep line playmaker in the 4-4-2 diamond. But let's speed things up to the modern day. Amrabat spent 3 seasons at FC Utrecht before moving to Feyenoord for a season, then to Club Brugge for 2 seasons, a little loan spell at Hellas Verona, then he was snapped up by Fiorentina. Of course, we remember Amrabat from the World Cup, bossing the midfield for Morocco, but I want to talk about his tactical role in the Fiorentina 4-3-3. So Amrabat in this team, in this role, is very much involved in the build-up. You could argue that he's a bit of a halfback, that he drops between the two centre-backs to get on the ball in the deep areas. What I like about that is not only does the Fiorentina team and shape really evolve in terms of both the fullbacks do move inside to get in possession, but it creates a back three at times to allow Amrabat to drop deep and then play those progressive passes. A really good skill of his is finding the central midfielders ahead of him, or the switches out, as we mentioned before, to the two wide players, but very much operating as a halfback. What I like about him in possession, as I mentioned previously, is that calmness on the ball, that he will kind of receive in the sort of centre-back position or the libero position, play a simple pass, move through pressure and go, or he'll comfortably drop, allow one of the centre-backs to move into the sort of DM area, then slide them through, and then move and join the attack again. Got a really good clip in a game against Sampdoria where you can really see that roaming, playmaking from a kind of a half-back position that got Fiorentina into the final third, creating a really, really good chance. So let's take a look at that right now. So we jump into the game on 61 minutes. Fiorentina have just won the ball back. But as you can see straight away, Amrabat's going to drop into that centre-back, half-back position in between the two centre-halves. What I like about this is he's always in that position to receive off his teammates, always demanding for the ball. Too frequently we've seen for Manchester United players kind of escape the ball or escape, receiving into feet, moving away from the teammates. What I like about Amrabat is he will drop in and demand it, as we see here, demanding the ball to feet in a really good area. What this does for, the team in possession is it pulls players out of position. We can see Sampdoria pressing Amrabat from this kind of attacking midfield position. Again, drawing players out. Less players up the pitch, more time to attack, more time to break the opposition down. Amrabat receiving to feet, really good turn straight away. As I mentioned, Fiorentina are a very, very good footballing side. We can see Milinkovic dropping into midfield. Manchester United do this with Rafael Varane, with Lisandro Martinez. When the option's on, they will move into midfield. That's why I like Amrabat. There's lots of things the Fiorentina side did that Manchester United do under Erik Ten Hag. Really good turn, splits the defenders with a diagonal pass, but straight away makes that forward motion to back up play. The ball moves out to left back, but then again, Amrabat doesn't follow the ball. He's always aware of where the space is, gesturing to his teammate, communicating with his arm. Biagli drops the ball back into that kind of number 6 area. And we can see from kind of receiving the ball as a halfback, continuing moving forward, receiving at number 6 in space. I really like how Amrabat moves around with possession. He's not a static possession player that he'll receive it and he'll sit in a halfback position. Very much he will follow his pass. He will move into midfield from that deeper zone. So receives the ball to feet. Again, good first touch, good carry. And then a fantastic flick with the outside of his foot to free the winger, the left winger in behind the defence, resulted in a really good opportunity for Fiorentina. We can see that's all started from Amrabat dropping back into feet to receive the ball, playing a little pass with the centre-back after, drawing the pressure, carrying through midfield, outside the boot flick to free the winger. Brilliant central midfield play. And that's what I really like about him, is he's got that ability to roam, as he will kind of pull from those deep areas, slide in the wingers, he will combine with his teammates, he will be involved in these passing moves. He's very comfortable in possession, and that's something United need to get more players that are comfortable on the ball. That's a massive thing for Erik Ten Hag in terms of kind of the evolution. And when we take a look at his stats versus, let's say Manchester United's midfield, Amrabat last season in Serie A completed 89% of his passes. Compare that to Manchester United, that's better than all their midfielders. Scott McTominay, in fact, was number 1 with 82% of his passes completed. Eriksen 81, Casemiro 77, Bruno 74. United need to be better at retaining possession, and someone like Amrabat is the guy to do that. He completed 60 passes per 90 in Serie A last season. That's more than any United midfielder again. Eriksen second place with 53 passes completed in comparison. Casemiro with 47. Again, we're seeing a player that retains possession better, that completes more passes, and again, more progressive. You're looking at long passes completed per game, number 1 in Serie A, 9.77 long passes per game. Not only is that switches of players we previously mentioned, but it is balls over the top. We actually saw that in the Europa Conference League final against West Ham United, so let's take a look at one of those long passes. So it's on 66 minutes, West Ham United 1-0 up, Fiorentina needing something to happen. So you can see Amrabat in that kind of number 6 position. What he likes to do is either hit the ball with his right foot, kind of swinging in behind the defenders, or on the left-hand side, swinging out. He's got good technique in long passing off that right foot. As you can see, the forward motion from Fiorentina, attacking the penalty areas is something that they needed to be a little bit more direct. He's not afraid to play these passes. We've seen United be a little bit more direct in pre-season at times, but I feel sometimes when they have settled possession, they don't have anyone that's going to operate in this kind of quarterback role and look to, use the height of a winger, as we see here. The ball goes up, knocked down. Really well finished off. But I like that he's got that range and that ability to play direct. United lacked it last season. I feel that with Amrabat in their midfield are easily going to break teams down. So in terms of Amrabat in the opponent's half, he will look for those direct balls at times to the wingers running in behind. He will switch to play, but he'll also find his teammates in between the lines. A very calm player in possession, but can go more direct, as we saw against West Ham United when needed. In terms of that half-back role, it's not fixed for him to just drop between the centre-backs every single time. At times he receives on the left, he receives on the right, and he did that against West Ham United. We can see him in the middle here, receiving the ball between the two centre-backs. The next one, we've got him receiving it on the right-hand side. Again, looking for areas to pick up the ball away from the opposition. What I like about this is you've got a midfielder in the defensive line. I feel that's something United need to kind of improve on, is when they've got kind of fixed or slow possession, dropping a midfielder into play through. I feel like the fullbacks should be, further up the pitch in terms of Delo, Luke Shaw, and attacking areas versus getting in the build-up. And that's why I feel like Amrabat in that position will be very, very good. That's on the right-hand side. We've got him on the left-hand side as well. Again, getting on the ball and looking to receive or draw pressure in. Again, he's playing super safe here. He's got pressure on his back. He's going to simply retain possession and then play again. And that's the real quality of Amrabat as a footballer. Not only does he have that ability to play the passes, but he's also very, very smart. Let's take a look at his stats from that final. Absolutely fantastic in defensive midfield, absolutely bossed the show. We could see how active that heat map is, dropping in at half back, left side, right side, in the middle of the centre backs, but also getting on the ball in the opponent's half and dictating the play. He completed more passes than any other player on the pitch, 69 passes completed at a 91% completion rate, 9 out of his 11 accurate long balls. Again, that is a key part of his game and would help Manchester United out, that ability to switch to play. Won 4 out of his 5 tackles as well. A really, really good performance from the Moroccan central midfielder. Why would it make sense for Manchester United, I think, is the big thing. United have got very similar central midfielders at the moment in terms of, you've got Mount and Bruno, who will bring the flair, and Casemiro as a holding midfielder. I feel like Man United at the moment are building kind of with their defenders in a 3 and one fullback pushing inside. But my concern at the moment is we have the fullback a little bit too high, so the opposition are usually blocking off those passes. And I don't know whether we're good enough in possession from those positions to break the lines. Why it makes sense for someone like Amrabat to join Manchester United is his role would be slightly different. Taking Mason Mount out of the team, you're playing 2 proper defensive midfielders, and you're operating more of a diamond in a sense of Casemiro probably going to hold in that number 6 position. Diogo Dalot can play on the inside. Varane and Martinez could be split. Amrabat can drop in, and you've got more players to find those passes too. I think look at Diogo Dalot and Luke Shaw's games, I think they're better final third players than they are in progression. So I'd like to see those guys higher up the pitch, inverting, driving those underlapping runs, allowing United to build in this kind of 3-6 diamond structure that we've seen under Erik Ten Hag. And again, we mentioned the fluidity. Not only can Amrabat receive in those areas, could also receive at right back. It's basically creating that base diamond for Manchester United, having a player that is very, very good in possession. If we look at the progressive stats in Serie A per 90 last season, Amrabat progressed the ball 7.93 times, which ranked him 4th in the competition. That's way more than any Manchester United player, and also passing into the final third. 7.12, which was 3rd in Serie A per 90. You're seeing the real player you can bring out there. But not only that, is he's very, very aggressive, good in the tackle, knows how to win a challenge. He's super, uses his strength, uses his power to win the ball back. In that game against West Ham United, there was a brilliant phase of play where not only did he win a sliding tackle on Antonio, got up and won the ball off Lucas Paqueta. He's got that ability to win the ball back. I don't necessarily think he's going to be better than Casemiro as a soul-holding number 6, but could definitely do that job. Where I want to see him is with Casemiro as a double pivot, with one of them dropping in, Amrabat to get on the ball and play through. And that's why it makes sense. He's got a profile that's very different to Manchester United's midfield. And that's why I feel like it could be a really, really good transfer for United. Not only allowing them to hold the ball better, but having a midfield air that could dictate the play from the back. At 25 years old, got the world ahead of him. Also played under Erik Ten Hag. So the transfer over to Erik's methods is going to be very, very easy. All in all, I think will be a fantastic signing for Manchester United. Get into the comments below. Do you think Amrabat to Manchester United makes sense? I've been Statman Dave. Subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you later.